Um, and yeah, so if we win, everybody gets 50 experience, which is nice. You can practice. Practice battles are actually a good way to do flight deck stuff that requires you to have to do a certain amount of missions with a certain character. So what we're going to look at is a couple of decent PvP guys. Right now, there's Invisible Woman, and you can buy her blaster uniform for 42, but she's actually usually more useful as staying as an infiltrator. And you can buy that for 30. So for about 45 command points, you can get a very solid PvP option. Obviously, there are still some sets here. I don't know if they buffed him. No, they didn't buff his other suits yet. That's coming. Hawkeye's going to get a buff. They buffed Black Widow, so she's almost useful in PvP. I see her run a couple times, and she's not bad. She can pile on pretty quickly with revenge tactics, which will allow you to put more damage on anyone who attacks her. So she'll stack that on top of you, and eventually you'll just start getting beat. Flying Kick is also good because it removes buffs, and the Widowmaker is basically a guaranteed stun. More or less. It says it has a chance to stun, but it happens more often than none. And it's subtle, it's quick action, so you'll be able to do that, and then Flying Kick, or that, and then Widow's Bite to weaken, or that, and then Martial Arts combo so that you can immediately fist somebody. The healing chi is really helpful here, like I said. It's a big heal. We'll usually bring back whoever was just about to die all the way back up. And Heart of Xiao Lao, Shu Lao, I believe, is a quick... It used to require you to use a whole turn, but they made it a quick action. And it boosts all your stats, and you can stack it basically every turn. As the game goes on, Iron Fist will get better and better and better. Now, there's my Sammy Jack with hair. Remote Jet Injector is a good, beginning tool for this, because it'll give you a heal, and that's hard to find so early. I use a single shot thumper because Dizzy is nice, and I don't really have much else to do. You can make your guy just do buffs. You can do that if you want. Katana's not bad for getting the buffs out. So last thing I'm going to do here before I roll through is to look at the different PvP options. One of the best is Captain America. Of course, he's 90, and then it's like another 40 or something to grab his WW2 costume, and it's usually easier to keep it in Tactician, because if you run across a Scarlet Witch, you'll get you can just pound her about the face with your leading strike and shield bashes and shield throw. The best part about WW2 Cap is that he starts with shield guard. So basically they have to wait 2 turns to attack unless they can do something that's subtle, or as a mental attack, or can debuff shield guard off. Let's see. Colossus is useful if you're trying to protect a lead that you have late. Like, you might want to set him up as a backup. He doesn't actually do the offensive, but when you log off for the night, you can switch Colossus in. Usually the Scrapper is the best case, because he starts with Steel Fortress, which helps a huge lot defensively if you can get the modern Colossus suit plus Colossus. But that's like another 50 tickets, which would be better served on buying Doctor Strange. The cool bonus, it's only like another 18 points for his, or 21 points to upgrade his blaster suit, and I think it's 32 points to upgrade his to Tactician, which is usually worth it, because again, there's some really high level blasters that people use that you might want to keep. So Power of the Principalities basically gives you an extra turn, because anything but the Bolts of Balthak will trigger it, and will allow you to take a second turn, so you can do a heal and a group debuff can't be protected against, guaranteed to hit, and ignores most avoidance effects. That's brutal. Absolutely brutal. They probably overtuned Doc Strange when he came out. But the Defender also hurts because if you throw down the vapors, everybody gets Bane, and the dot from Bane is a magic damage, so a dot from Dark Void is a magic damage, so it hurts even more. He also has a bubble, which is pretty huge, but he also will give you small bubbles, small versions of this, to everyone just completely at random. Whenever people get attacked, they can have the bubble popped on before the attack lands, which hurts like a pain in the butt. Human Torch is the other option. This is like the mid-range team, is Human Torch and Doctor Strange. The two of them are pretty sharp. Human Torch has, again, I think he got overtuned, but he's got Flame On, which really hurts. It increases the attack, so he already is a huge attack. See, you can see the increase there. He already has an overstocked attack, and he also has a 1 in 4 chance to avoid ranged attacks, which is great because you don't want to attack him with a melee attack because he then sets you on fire and also deals damage. So he's really a pain in the butt to try to knock down, and every time you give something gives him burning, he turns it into Flame On, which also regenerates his health every turn. Such a pain. Usually you need a powerful tactician with a ranged attack, or who is immune to burning, like the Asgardian Sif, to bust through Human Torch, or you can remove that buff. You can remove Flame On. However, Soulfire, which was added as part of the Phoenix stuff, used to remove all buffs, but now it also counts as a burn. So it will remove Flame On, but then subsequently granted every turn that Soulfire is on him. So it's a pain. It might be worth it to go into the Bruiser, but it's a really expensive costume. And again, the only bonus you get is Cosmic Control Rod, which has a chance to sweep a whole bunch of bugs and somebody for damage whenever an ally attacks or is attacked, which is nice. Also, if you use the Future Foundation suit for Invisible Woman along with Human Torch, they get a bonus to attack and accuracy after the 4th round, which is also kind of nice, but a lot of times you don't make it to the 4th round when you face a team like that, or neither of them are alive till then. Hulk is fun for PvP and useful, but there are better ways to spend 90 CP. The World War Hulk basically puts the Hulk anger on the rest of your team, which is really nice, but again, not really necessary. It's big upgrade. Kitty Pryde's nice. There's not a whole lot more outside of that. If you do get the Shadowcat Kitty Pryde, she starts phased, which is nice, and she will counter all attacks for the first 3 rounds, which is also nice. So she's not bad, but there's probably better choices out there. I actually think that she could be used instead of Invisible Woman. Let's see, what's in here? Phoenix is still a bit of a glass cannon. She gets hurt a little too much. See, there's her health. She has no health and no defense. She was buffed with Death and Rebirth so that when she dies, she doesn't die, she comes back, which is nice. And then once you get Phoenix Fire all the way up to level 9, she can reset that, put Death and Rebirth back, and actually it can stop your agent or your other teammate from dying, which is not bad. You can't get this Phoenix 5 outfit, but you can get the White Queen outfit, which was given... Oh, that one has the Phoenix Force reapplication. So every time you use Phoenix Fire, you can reapply Death and Rebirth. But you can't use Phoenix Fire if she has Death and Rebirth. That's the bonus. Really frustratingly tough is Spider-Man. He, if you have a tactician, Spider-Man will wreck him. That's basically what happens, because he will protect your guy. Then if you put the right amount of evasion ISO in, he will dodge whatever attack was supposed to go to the soft guy you were trying to kill, and then he will turn around and punch you in the face, especially if you're a tactician. Additionally, he makes a great Future Foundation costume because he can add a stacking buff for to permanently increase evasion. They changed it so it only lasts 3 rounds now, but still, if someone makes the mistake of attacking you with something that shoots 4 or 5 times, or Deadpool's new attack that shoots 25 times, you can gain 25 stacks of evasion and essentially just never be hit. It's really a frustrating dude. Storm they also buffed recently. She's pretty solid. I see her a lot, but I usually rip through her. So if you bought her, great. You can probably use her now. And actually the classic Storm has the Weather Witch buff. Mistress of Elements helps against dots and a lot of different attacks. But the Weather Witch buff also gives that to anyone with Protective Shroud, which is such a pain in the butt to try to shoot through. And when she has Elemental Mastery, she has a chance to strike attacking enemies with lightning, which also is pretty sharp. So you first turn Blizzard cast, and it's really hard to attack her. Thor's pretty solid when you put the Blaster Modern Armor on, because all of a sudden he starts with 2 charges of Might of... Oh, I can never pronounce that, so I'm not even going to try. And then you just use Summon Thunder and basically kill everyone on the opposing team. BP's, he used to be really, really good at PvP. Not so much anymore. He's still useful, but he's better ways to spend 90. Such as Scarlet Witch, who is super useful. Scarlet Witch has a chance to avoid all attacks, a 1 in 5 chance to avoid all attacks. Hex Spheres has a chance to have all of the opposing attacks backfire. Arcane Blast hits like a truck, and also can eat up a Hex Sphere on its last turn to put random debuffs and deal extra damage. Chaos Shield is your heal. You have a 70% chance of putting a thing on. Well, you have a chance to put Chaos Shield on, and then there's a 70% chance that it will heal instead of dealing damage whatever attack comes next. And no matter what, if it goes on to somebody who has a debuff, it will replace that with the opposite, which is usually a regeneration. So that's really, really helpful. And Probability Field is nice. It just kind of throws out a whole bunch of things at the field, and usually will help you win. I will sometimes skip it in rotation to go back to Chaos Shield or Arcane Blast, but it's fun. If you're lucky enough to get Emma Frost, and then again lucky enough to get her Phoenix 5 costume, she is an absolute beast in PvP because of Cosmic Power, which will not only remove just about all your debuffs, but will also give you a huge stat buff, and it can give it to anyone on your team. Huge. She used to be ludicrously overpowered. They depowered her a little bit by changing the way Diamond Body works, and the way War Diamond used to clear all buffs from her too. So they took that off and just gave it to Unlock Potential, which will debuff anyone on your team. So if your Scarlet Witch is really hurting with a bunch of debuffs, you can give her Unlock Potential and roll through. Rogue's pretty solid, but there are better choices for 90 CP. The same with Gambit. Hercules is pretty solid for 90. Worthwhile maybe, especially if because there's so many scrappers in the field, such as Deadpool. So he's sitting there. He has the Gift of Battle, which will allow him to basically just counter anything thrown at him, and it really hurts. Quicksilver's great because he takes 2 actions every time he attacks. And he usually takes the first turn. So if you have somebody like Gambit who's an infiltrator, he will basically wreck your team because he will hit you twice with blinding punches, which give you quickness, which ups his accuracy and evasion. And also will then hit everyone with tag team. And now if somebody hits him while he has the quickness buff, he'll use tag team. 1 mile punch is a good charge up attack by chewing up your quickness stacks, and the same thing with the vortex lariat, where you can potentially stun the entire team. But usually by the time you get to that, it's a little too far off. Deadpool's a monster. Once you get him to level 9 and you can run through his list, run through all of his attacks, he will rip you apart. Absolutely rip you apart, and he will try heroically not to die. Ghost Rider should probably become available for CP sometime soon. And he's actually pretty solid too. He has a chance to not die when he takes lethal damage. He will always put on Sin to anyone who attacks, which reduces defense, and also gets eaten up by Penance Stare or Burnout. He also can Melt Armor and Fiery Spray, so if you got him, great. If not, he might swing back through soon. Cable I haven't seen a lot of people using yet, so I don't know what he's got. Beast is also usable, potentially usable. I've had some trouble against Beast recently, but he does go down pretty quick if you have the right comp and he's not ISO'd correctly. But he's actually he's pretty usable as far as the 90 CP guys go. Probably better uses of 90 CP, but if you want Beast, go for it. Especially seeing as he gives you the generalist buff in your class that nobody else does. Tigra, I also haven't seen a lot of people use, but the bleed mechanic has gotten a lot better recently. So